Living can be hard these days. A dozen eggs can cost you anything from $3.20 up to $10.85.
That's... more.
The cheapest option are your cage eggs.
It means the chickens are confined to a cage at all times and made to pump out eggs.
But with a bit of clever marketing, you can bring out the farm in factory farming. Ah yes, farm fresh.
Which means cage eggs, which could have come from this farm, holding nearly 1 million chickens in a computer-controlled environment.
What about freshly laid eggs?
Yeah. Yes, freshly laid. Although chickens never lay eggs that aren't fresh. It's not that Farm Pride don't have any pride in their caged eggs. They just ran out of blue ink.
But after a backlash against battery hen conditions, today there's been a proliferation of more expensive eggs because we've been nicer to the chickens.
There you go. Too hot.
Today, free-range eggs make up about 40% of sales, while barn-laid eggs make about 10%.
And that's set to rise. Woolworths claim they'll no longer stock any caged eggs, none at all, by 2018. We'll see if Jamie Oliver can hold them to that.
A little bit drunk from the pub.
But as we search for these ethical eggs, are we getting what we're paying for?
When we shop, we rely on simple terms like cage-free or barn-laid or free-range. But if you're buying barn-laid eggs, you probably want your barn to look like this one from a Channel 9 advertorial paid for by the egg company.
Well, Ross, your chickens are certainly making a lot of happy noises.
Rather than this barn, filled by Animal Liberation Victoria. Now, that place has since been closed down. So when you're going egg shopping, you can't be expected to go to every barn and farm and check them out. So who can you trust? Where are the chickens?
I just thought you wanted a barn.
The question of who to trust is being debated right now as the ACCC takes 2 egg producers to court. Why are you crossing the road? I still don't get it. Anyway, one of the issues the ACCC are looking at is how much space the free-range farmers are giving to the chickens.
The model code for domestic poultry says that the outdoor stocking density should be no more than 1,500 birds per hectare.
Which is about 1 chicken per this much space.
Coles has recently suggested moving to a free-range standard of 10,000 chickens per hectare.
Which is 6 2/3 of a chicken per this much space. Don't worry about the 2/3 of a chicken.
Whereas a lot of free-range farms were working on 20,000 per hectare.
Which is 1 chicken per this much. But all these figures are based on the space outside of the barn.
The chickens get returned to a barn at night, and the ACCC argues that some of the chickens are being trained not to go outside at all.
So you have to look at the inside stocking densities too. And in the case of Snowdale,
A Western Australian egg producer being taken to court,
the ACCC claimed there were 140,000 chickens per hectare, which is 1/7 of the space of that.
so if the barn looks less like this and more like this, would those people paying more for free range consider these chickens to be well treated?
Now you might be thinking, didn't you say there was some kind of national set of rules that would sort all of this out? Well, yes, state and federal governments and all their experts got together and came up with a model code, but then they didn't really bother turning into law, so it's more just a guideline. And by the way, it's got lots of loopholes and people don't really listen to it. Brilliant. So while they put in this bit,
For layer hens, a maximum of 1,500 birds per hectare.
they also put in this bit.
Any higher bird density is acceptable only when regular rotation of birds onto fresh range areas occurs.
And that's been used to water down the 1,500 bird requirement. Here's how the Egg Corporation publication summarised it.
The code essentially allows unlimited stocking densities as well as big trimming.
That is absolutely outrageous. They call their magazine Extra Extra. Oh yeah, I guess the other bit's bad too. So instead of effective national regulation, we end up with a hodgepodge of self-regulated accreditation schemes with their own claims and standards. Remember the Egg Corporation?
As well as being Australia's best source of egg puns,
They also provide the most common form of accreditation for free-range eggs, Egg Corp Assured.
used by all of these farms.
But they also say that the code allows for unlimited stocking densities, and they do allow beak trimming.
And both of the egg producers being taken to court by the ACCC for their substandard conditions were Egg Corp assured.
Those cases are still before the courts, and it doesn't mean that the same concerns are true for all brands that use those logos. However, if you're worried about low stocking densities, then with Egg Corp assured, you shouldn't necessarily feel assured. So here's where it gets weird, but not in a Cory Bernardi kind of way. Coles is pushing for a standard of 10,000 chickens per hectare. And even though this isn't as strict as the 1,500 chickens per hectare, that code isn't being enforced. So if Coles can actually enforce their lower standards, it'll actually be a step forward for the industry. What we really need to see is what these numbers look like on a farm. And luckily, some of the egg producers that have 10,000 chickens per hectare have chook cams. This will be so exciting.
I'll admit those pictures didn't look too bad to me, but only some farms even have chook cams, and many farms can't be seen by the public. And according to this whistleblower from the egg industry, no, not that one, this one.
A lot of free-range people don't like to let the chickens out of the barn because they think it wastes their energy, and they do less laying. There's some farms that only let the chickens out of the barn when they think that someone's watching.
And in the ACCC's case, they claim that there were no chickens outside during several of their visits.
To find out what these standards are really like, I'm going to have to go undercover. You stay here. You might stand out on a chicken farm.
First, I tried to sneak into one of Pace Farm's free-range facilities.
How'd you know? I think they might be onto the fact I'm not a chicken. How come none of the chickens are out today?
Oh, they get let out at 12 o'clock.
The chickens were let out at midday, and they were roaming on other occasions we visited the farm, which makes you wonder why they seem so paranoid.
How many chickens you got here?
All I'm going to say that you're trespassing at the moment.
Oh, OK. Well, you want to come and tell me over here?
What I'm saying is that can you leave the property?
Yeah, I'll leave the property.
OK.
Do you want to tell me how many chickens or anything? I'm not.
Nothing to do with you, mate.
It's got nothing to do with me.
A position they have maintained, because our letters requesting the actual stocking densities of this farm and others only elicited a letter from their lawyers that ignored our questions and trotted out the standard line, we're Egg Corp assured and we comply with the model code. Well, that's assured me.
The code essentially allows unlimited stocking densities.
Another of the biggest producers in Australia is Farm Pride. Their chickens were out roaming when we visited.
You're not really a chicken, are you?
No, I'm definitely a chicken. I know what happens to roosters in this industry. What's your kind of stocking densities here per hectare?
No comment, mate.
Well, you can't tell me the stocking densities?
I want to.
It's not a secret, is it?
No, it's available on our website.
Yeah?
www.farmpride.com.au.
Except it wasn't available on their website. And Farm Pride didn't reply to us when we asked them for their maximum stocking densities for free-range hens.
So as an egg buyer standing in a shop, what should you look out for? If price is your only concern, you are going to buy caged eggs. But this is what you're supporting. And before you get too judgmental about those buying caged eggs, even Animals Australia concede that our current levels of egg consumption can only be met with factory farming. However, if you want to buy free-range eggs that come from farms that are not too squeezy,
the RSPCA logo requires free-range stocking densities of 1,500 chooks per hectare, or up to 2,500 if they're rotated. They also allow beak trimming in some cases, arguing that it can be necessary to stop hens pecking each other, sometimes to death. But if you want even stricter guidelines that ban debeaking, yes, I know you do, then look for these logos. Humane Choice, Australian Certified Organic and the Free Range Farmers Association also require stocking densities of between 750 and 2,500 chickens per hectare. Other than that, you're on your own. And we're not saying you shouldn't buy free-range eggs, which is why it would be nice if there was a national standard for the treatment of free-range chickens, one that was not only clear, but enforceable, so you could be confident that what it said on the pack is what was happening in reality. Because we all want happy chickens. Something to eat? Ooh, unhappy chicken.
Nature is green. Nature is good. Green is good.
Well, that's obviously nonsense. But it's the sort of thing used to convince us to pay up to $46 a litre for chlorophyll supplements. What exactly is this stuff anyway?
Chlorophyll is the green pigment found in plants, responsible for absorbing and transforming energy from the sun.
Okay, so it's the green stuff that's very useful for plants, and possibly the Hulk. But for everyone else, that's where it all gets a bit murky. Australia's Next Top Model host, Jennifer Hawkins, reckons the BioGlen stuff will detoxify, alkalise and cleanse your body. But when we asked her to explain what that means, she didn't get back to us. Weird. Perhaps she hadn't had the optimal dose of chlorophyll, which according to Swiss is 18 tablets a day.
2, 3...
18 a day?
More chlorophyll.
More! That's $1,750 a year for something that doesn't appear on any recommended dietary intake guide. Mind you, host of Australia's Funniest Home Videos, Shelley Craft, says it works on her kids.
Plus, the added bonus of the chlorophyll, which if you can't get them to eat veggies, this is an easy way to do it.
Or as Craft put it on Funniest Home Videos,
I give my kids chlorophyll instead of veggies.
But when we asked this lady whether liquid chlorophyll was an adequate dietary substitute for vegetables, she said no.
Vegetables provide a whole range of benefits, including dietary fibre and minerals and vitamins, not to mention the fact they fill you up so you don't eat so much. You won't get that from a bottle of chlorophyll.
Thanks, qualified person.
8, 9...
On the bottle, Swiss says that because
Humans obtain their food supply by eating plants, photosynthesis can be an important source of energy.
That almost sounds like they're suggesting that a chemical process in plants must be relevant to the human body, which according to this guy is
false. That's like saying that because us humans obtain our food supply by driving to the supermarket, then car engines would be a great source of energy.
Thanks, actual expert.
12, 13...
Then there's this.
The structure of a chlorophyll molecule is very similar to the structure of hemoglobin, the molecule responsible for transporting oxygen around the body.
Well, it's almost like they're saying that because a chlorophyll molecule looks a bit like a hemoglobin molecule, they do the same thing, which according to this guy is
wrong. That's just like saying because water and vodka look the same, they have exactly the same effect. And it's the same thing for molecules.
Got it. Thanks, science guy. Look, all this isn't to say that we can't keep using chlorophyll for its traditional use.
17...
Of neutralising faecal odour from colostomy bags.
18. Except that's been debunked too.
Yes.
Chlorophyll. It's important for plants, not people.
Chances are the two biggest financial decisions you'll make in your life are your house and your super.
But we spend all our money on wheelbarrows.
It's just a metaphor. We love talking about property.
And it turned out we were under the reserve.
But somehow, we don't have the same passion for financial products.
I said sure. If you don't factor in the concessional tax rate for super, am I right? Hashtag rollover.
Get out of my fully renovated 3-bedroom house.
I mean, you never see reality TV shows like this.
Ben and Jen are running out of time to find their lost super.
Because of our superannuation laws, the Australian managed funds industry is one of the biggest in the world. Some people do it themselves, but for the rest of us in not-for-profit industry funds or retail funds, we just don't pay much attention. In fact, most of us are in the fund chosen by our employer, which is weird. I mean, you wouldn't let your boss choose your house for you.
Sold.
And there are plenty of people earning fees on our apathy. Super funds don't put all your money in one basket, but a fair chunk of it is entrusted to fund managers. The idea of a managed fund is that you pay a professional investor to pick good investments, which seems sensible enough. If you'd put 10 grand into a managed super fund last financial year, on average, you'd end up with $12,230. If you'd kept that money under your mattress, you would have made nothing. But before you celebrate your fund manager too much, in the same period, the average return of the Australian stock market was even higher. Which means the headline we should pay attention to is this one. And that's not unusual either. From 2003 to 2013, the market average outperformed managed funds by even more. If fund managers were a bit more realistic with you, they'd probably say something more like this.
Well, if you give me that money, I will try and invest it so that you get an above-average return.
So you can actually do that?
No.
So what are your fees?
Over your lifetime, my fees could be more than $100,000.
Okay. Are you better at picking stocks than a cat?
Well, that would depend on the cat.
What about that cat?
Ooh, he looks good.
In 2012, the Observer newspaper ran a stock-picking contest with a cat called Orlando. Over the year, Orlando outperformed 3 fund managers simply by randomly poring over a copy of the Financial Times. Now, you might think,
maybe it's worth paying more to get a better fund manager.
But with super in Australia, sometimes paying more buys you worse performance. A 2010 study found that for every 1% extra people paid in fees, their returns actually fell by 1.5%. So, can you choose a good funds manager based on their track record of picking winners?
I'll have number 9, thanks.
Nice idea, but no you can't. Performances often vary, and high flyers one year...
Number 10.
Often do poorly the next. And then there's fees. Fund managers aren't just trying to beat the market average, they're trying to beat the market average plus the extra fees you pay them. And that's very hard. In summary, forget fund managers, you should give all your superannuation money to this cat.
Stop! Stop! That cat is an imposter.
Who's that? Alan Kohler from Business Spectator.
And Eureka Report, Australia's best investment newsletter.
What are you doing here, aside from self-promotion?
Well, you're about to make a terrible mistake. The cat just got lucky.
What do you mean?
Let me enlighten you. When choosing super funds, picking winners is almost impossible. The past cannot foretell the future, and even small fees can eventually overwhelm modest returns.
So instead of trying to beat the market, I should become the market. But is that even possible?
Actually, it is. They're called index funds, and they operate by investing in the average of a stock market rather than relying on fund manager predictions.
So there's less chance of awful results, just average ones.
Right.
And it's not really average either, because you pay a fee for them as well. So it's the average minus a fee.
But
sorry, I've got to go now. I have to do a graph for the news.
Index funds also get the tick from legendary investment guru Warren Buffett. The key is fees. Because they back the market average instead of using funds managers, index funds can have significantly lower fees. And for long-term investments, those fees are super important. A 1 or 2% difference in fees might not sound like much, but over decades, it can add up to tens of thousands of your dollars. If you're not in a low-fee fund, you might as well buy your funds manager a boat. Lowering fees was one of the reasons the government gave for introducing My Super accounts, which began on the 1st of January this year. You remember?
3, 2, 1.
It means that if your employer's choosing your super fund, they'll have to go with one that has a My Super product. That's estimated to save Australians $550 million a year, but they don't have to shift your money into the transparent low-fee product until 2017. Oh, yeah. If you want to save money before then, it's up to you. The first thing to do is go to the ATO website. It's a one-stop shop for getting all your super money into a single fund. On average, each Australian worker has about 3 funds, which means 3 times as many fees. Ask your fund about the fees they charge. Also,
is this a My Super product?
Ask if they've already got a My Super account that you can transfer into now. Sure, it's not the most interesting thing in the world, but you could save thousands and thousands if only Australians cared more about their super.
Vanish Nappy San Oxy Action. Old packaging,
New packaging.
same active ingredient, same strength, same size, same instructions, and a lid to every wash. The difference?
The new lid is bigger.
This pack will last for 45 lids.
This pack will last for 30 lids.
Nappy San Oxy Action.
No wonder you call it Vanish.
As a loving pet owner, I know that all pets are anxious, aren't you? And that's something we should all be anxious about. One of the best ways to relax is to take a bath. Gerald can relax in the single tank Hydra bath because he doesn't know I had to take out a personal loan to buy it. And I can relax too, knowing that even though $2,300 seemed expensive, it was actually designed for the budget conscious. Even though fish are always in a bath, they're not always relaxed. That's until Bubbles gets a few squirts of Pond Care Stress Coat, the only marine water conditioner with the healing power of aloe vera. I'm no relaxologist, but $17.79 seems cheap for science. Oh, Millicent, I can feel your tension right here. One of the relaxiest things is aromatherapy. I use Fuzz Yard Naturals because they can be sprayed directly onto my dog to make him feel calmed, soothed, and if he's overcalmed, uplifted and refreshed. I spray Percy with Pluck No More for relief from anxiety. It's homeopathic, so $34.99 seems cheap for a lack of science. Shh. Relax. It's clear that Stefan is carrying all the worries of the world. He needs the kind of heavy-duty serenity you can only get from having a piece of elastic wrapped around your snout.
Do a 180 with the elastic, bring it up over his nose, and it's that simple.
The acupressure is pure bliss. And given how calming one piece of face elastic can be, imagine the soothing powers of an entire cloth over the face. Calming caps help relieve a dog's anxiety in high-stress situations, like being muzzled by underpants.
Yes, it looks like your dog is wearing underpants over its head, but it's a good product.
If they weren't $45.36, they'd be priceless. Life, oh life, oh life. Telling your dog you're pregnant can be as stressful as not having a $2,000 bath. But now, the Tell Your Dog You're Pregnant CD and book takes the stress out of telling your dog you're pregnant.
No guarantee that your dog will be better prepared for the arrival of your new baby.
I'm pregnant! Is what I'd say to you if I was pregnant, which I'm not, obviously, because... After a hard day desperately trying to relax, my dogs need some pampering, and no one knows pampering better than Dogue. Strike a pose. The Dogue Country Retreat Boutique Hotel and Day Spa for Dogs offers yoga and meditation to combat dog stress the Dogue way. Hi, yes, I'd like to make a reservation for Gerald. $80 for the night? Yes, I think he would like a Brazilian. Do you mind if he wears his underwear on his head while he has it? Dogue.
Campbell's Split Pea and Ham Soup. Ingredients: peas 65%, water, carrots, and now for the salt, and wheat flour. And of course, some sugar. And ham. 0.5%. whole split pea and water and carrot and salt and wheat flour and sugar soup. May contain traces of ham.
That fish is hilarious. Hello there, I'm Poseidon, King of the Sea, here with an important message about water and watches. You know, if there are two things I love, it's swimming and knowing what the time is, which is why I wear this handsome diving watch. But not all watches are safe to get wet, and it can be confusing telling which watch is which watch. For example, take a look at Craig's Fancy Man watch. It's rated to 30 metres water resistant. Now, what do you think that means, Craig?
You can go 30 metres under the water.
Well, let's see. Jesus! Wrong religion! Now, Craig, do you have the time?
My watch is broken.
Well, of course it is. You see, a 30-metre water-resistant watch isn't designed to go 30 metres under the water. Bye! What? We asked our friends at Swatch to clear up this confusion for us, and they let us know that when a watch has a water-resistant rating on it, then...
These indications do not correspond to an actual diving depth, but refer to the pressure to which the overpressure water test has been done.
By which they mean to say that Craig's watch was tested sitting perfectly still in a lab under pressures you'd find 30 metres under the water. In this case, 3 atmospheres, or ATMs. And I don't need to tell you that there's a huge difference between sitting here perfectly still, brand new in a lab, and splashing about in the briny deep.
Hello?
So, if like Craig here, you have a new watch that's just water resistant, well, what kind of adventures can you go on? Let's consult this handy chart from Casio. If your watch is water resistant, then you can splash your face. Stand in the rain. Or maybe read a book.
Hang on, what's that?
While being hit with water bombs. But look, if you want to splash around a really fun water park with your friends, then you'll need a watch that's 50 metres water resistant or higher. Which is why Craig can't come with us today. Oh, and by the way, Craig, I forgot to tell you, you can't use detergent in that sink.
Bloody Poseidon!
But if you want to do any serious diving, make sure you get a proper diver's watch. And always ask the retailer exactly what the guarantee is good for. That way, you'll avoid any nasty surprises. Ha! Ha! You're wet.